British and American literature are two distinct literary traditions with unique characteristics and histories. While there are many similarities between the two, there are also significant differences that set them apart. In this essay, we will explore some of the key differences between British and American literature. One of the most obvious differences between British and American literature is their historical and cultural contexts. British literature refers to the literature of the United Kingdom, which has a long and rich literary history that dates back to the Middle Ages. American literature, on the other hand, refers to the literature of the United States, which has a much shorter history and is rooted in the country's unique cultural and historical context. While both traditions share some common literary influences, such as Shakespeare and the Bible, they also have distinct literary figures and movements that reflect their respective cultural contexts. Another difference between British and American literature is their language and style. British English and American English are distinct dialects with differences in spelling, pronunciation, and vocabulary. These linguistic differences are reflected in the language and style of their respective literatures. British literature tends to be more formal and uses a greater variety of vocabulary, while American literature is often more informal and colloquial. This linguistic difference can be seen in the works of authors such as William Shakespeare and Charles Dickens in the British tradition, and Mark Twain and Ernest Hemingway in the American tradition. The themes and subject matter of British and American literature also differ. British literature often deals with themes of class, social hierarchy, and tradition. It also often reflects the country's history of imperialism and colonialism, and its relationship with other European nations. American literature, on the other hand, often deals with themes of individualism, democracy, and freedom. It also reflects the country's unique cultural and geographical context, including its history of westward expansion and its relationship with Native American cultures. The literary movements and styles of British and American literature also differ. In the British tradition, there are a number of distinct literary movements, such as the Romantic movement, the Victorian era, and the Modernist movement. Each of these movements reflects a unique cultural and historical context, and has its own distinct characteristics and themes. In the American tradition, there are also a number of distinct literary movements, such as the Transcendentalist movement, the Beat Generation, and the Postmodern movement. These movements often reflect the country's unique cultural and historical context, and have their own distinct styles and themes. Another difference between British and American literature is their approach to religion and spirituality. British literature often reflects the country's Christian heritage, with many works exploring religious themes and ideas. American literature, on the other hand, often reflects the country's history of religious diversity and the separation of church and state. Many works of American literature explore spiritual and philosophical ideas from a range of religious traditions, as well as secular perspectives. Finally, British and American literature differ in their reception and interpretation. British literature has long been considered a central part of the Western literary canon, and has been studied and analyzed extensively by literary critics and scholars. American literature, on the other hand, has a shorter history of critical study and has often been seen as a less important part of the literary canon. However, in recent years, American literature has gained greater recognition and has been the subject of extensive critical analysis and scholarship. In conclusion, while British and American literature share many similarities, they also have significant differences that reflect their respective cultural and historical contexts. These differences are evident in their language and style, themes and subject matter, literary movements and styles, and approach to religion and spirituality. Understanding these differences is essential to gaining a deeper appreciation and understanding of both traditions.